Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Final episode of the love story, the current love story. We must be around about 20 episodes, been a long one. So I'm going to wrap it up on this one, which I can do. So we left it that John and Zoe had just offered Bob in Hua Hin an amazing deal where you saw they could get him a house for the rest of his life, but put it in Zoe's name. Again, Zoe and John have only been together a short while, but John had spoke to Zoe, talked about it to her, and she's fine with it. Over the next 2 weeks, John and Bob chatted a bit, and Bob got his friend translator up the road to talk to his wife and mother and explain what John had done and offered. And Bob's wife wasn't too mad about it because she wasn't going to get anything out of it. So I can understand that a bit, but the kids would benefit possibly in the future. And eventually Bob's wife came around and figured out that her gambling days are going to be over, but they're going to get a better house. They're already thinking of different house. A better house out of it, and whatever went through her mind and the mother's, I don't know. A lot of ties just think for today and don't care about tomorrow. So Bob and his wife and the mother dragging along had a look around the property market, and the guy who lived 3 doors up was in the property field. And that guy said to Bob that there was a 3-bedroom bungalow with a pool and a bit of land around it, and a driveway not far from where John lives. I think John's was a 2-bedroom, but there was a 3-bedroom one, not as grand, and a different layout, but it had a 3rd bedroom for the kids and things. And it was on for 4.5 million baht. So Bob had a quick chat with John, and between them all, they went up, and John came with Bob and that guy from up the road. They went and looked at it, and John offered, Bob really loved it, Bob's wife loved it, Bob's mother. The guy put an offer in, John put an offer in of 4 million and said, if they'll take 4 million, you can have it, And that guy took about a week, maybe 10 days. It was a foreign owner again. Managed to get it for 4 million baht. Wasn't too close to John, but it was quite close, Probably, 5 or 10 roads away from him. And it was a better house for Bob. It was obviously quite new, a couple of years old. Again, in that Dolphin Bay area, where there's a lot of foreigners leaving. And a lot of empty houses. So over the next, as far as Bob goes in that house, maybe it took a month, but eventually the deal was done. And John and Zoe went back to the same lawyer that they'd got their house through, and they got a load of caveats put into a document for Zoe that she couldn't sell that house while Bob was alive, and providing Bob was still married, if he passed away, then she would give it to the kids, and there would be she had to. It was part of the deal. Anyway, all documents, and that cost about 50,000-60,000 baht for John to get all these documents sorted. Zoe was happy. Bob and his wife signed the relevant documentation, but John didn't go anywhere near Bob's wife. So this was just different trips up and down to the lawyers, where Bob took his wife on his own. Anyway, it was all done and dusted, and Bob moved house. Quite a few times went to see John and thanked him so much, and to this day they're still good friends. So back onto John and Zoe. This Zoe's portfolio is growing. You know, you've got her house and John's house in Hawaii. Now you've got Bob's house. You've got a couple of bikes. You've got, bits and pieces, all the furniture. And they haven't been together that long. But they are getting on incredibly well. So, all good. Next thing in John's life is a car. He's still not sure about driving. Zoe's up for it, but they do want to start travelling around Thailand possibly. And she keeps pushing him that, please, let's get a car and you drive. Try it. Let's see what happens. And he's still like, no. She said, let's rent a car. And let's go for a local drive and see if we can, what you think. And they do. They go to a car rental company. There's tons about. Get a cheap car for a day. And John, for the first time, is still on his... He hasn't been in Thailand for a year, just about there, coming close. I think you can drive for a year on your driving licence from your country. He gets behind the wheel of the rental car, and it's been ages since he's driven. And after what happened to his son, wasn't keen. But they have a day with him driving around. They get outside of Hua Hin, and he soon gets the hang of it. But in Australia, they drive on the wrong side of the road. Or is it the right side of the road? Eventually, he gets the hang of it. And he's like, okay, yeah, I think I'd be okay driving. He's getting on a bit as well. But yeah, he said okay. And Zoe gets behind the wheel and drives it, so John can see what her driving is like. And it's not bad. Not bad at all, considering she's Thai. That was a dig, wasn't it? So they decide, okay, we're going to get a car. And they spend maybe 2 weeks going to all the different dealers, trying different size cars. Automatic is definitely a must. And John tries the cars as well, obviously. And as we would guess, they're going to go for a big 4x4. And they bought a Mitsubishi Pajero. Top of the range, 4-wheel drive. Not sure colour, but it had everything. Had all the gadgets, and it was like, with it fully loaded, it was about 1.9 million baht, maybe 2.1, something like that. It was a couple of million baht. So a lot of money, but he'd already put money across, ready for a car, into his bank, and they bought it. So that's it. They got a car. Of course, it's Zoe's name. John, again, a few million baht here and there and here. It is pennies to him. And he's going to have to make another transfer because what did he bring? 10 million baht across recently, and he's just spent 4 on another house for Bob, 500,000 to get him out of debt, another 2 million there for a car. He's piling through it again. And they get the car. So now they've got a couple of bikes, car, nice house, swimming pool, living in Hua Hin. Everything's good. Everything's good. Over the next few months, they start doing little trips. Maybe 50, 60 kilometres. They're just going up and down the coast lines, north and south of Hua Hin. And their relationship is growing and growing. And it's just great. I mean, Zoe turning out to be a lovely girl, lovely woman. Here comes the rain in the UK again. Turns out to be a lovely, lovely girl, lovely woman. And everything's great. John, really, no worries, and Bob said to him, and, you're putting everything in Zoe's name. And his other friend in Pattaya speaks to him on the phone. But as I said, it's pennies to John, and he's getting on in life, and he doesn't really care about money. But he's having a fabulous time now. Now he's exploring Hawaii, and compared to Pattaya, it's much more relaxed and laid back. There is some people would say a better vibe, but it's a different vibe from Pattaya. Pattaya is very fast and furious and so much bigger as far as entertainment zones and bars and things and restaurants. However, Hawaiian is sort of sprawled out a bit. It's it's spread out more, and then you've got Charam next door. But the coastline there is lovely, and it's the gateway to the south, which is even better and better. John has no problem with any of the food. He can get anything he wants from Australia. There's quite a few shops around in tourist areas that imports food from everywhere in the world. So Zoe turns out to be a really good cooking, and he wasn't obviously paying her anymore as a cleaner. She was his girlfriend, but he was giving her since they moved to the house, he was giving her about 20,000 baht a month, pocket money for just, in case she needs to send to her family. And John was fine with all that. Again, money's nothing to him. And they started settling down into a nice routine. And it really wasn't long before John started realising he's got no family left. He's got all this money in the bank, and no one to give it to if anything happened to him. He's sorted things like health insurance and out now, and he's pretty much set up for the rest of his life. But at some point he had to think about what does he do with all his money, and it's millions. He spoke to Zoe, and they talked about money. He just said, why don't they get married? They're getting on so well. And Zoe's over the moon. And that's what they do in the coming months. They just do a small ceremony at the Ampha. They get married. And John, lawyers and copies to lawyers in Australia, has left everything to Zoe. They've got married. He's put everything to her. And they're a happy couple. It's worked out brilliant for them. I don't think he told Bob and his other friends he's left all his money to Zoe. But at the end of the day, by the time they've got married, they've only been together 6 months. But if he sees his days out with her and everything stays as it is, as it was, it wouldn't matter. Whether he put any clauses in his will, I don't know. He never told me that. But I would imagine he had something if the marriage didn't work out and they were, maybe he would have given it to charity or something. Or to his other friends. I don't know. But they did. They just went on happy as anything. And I can now confirm to this day in 2021, what are we? We're May. They're even happier. They're in love, and they're now touring around. Well, they were touring around Thailand. They're not so much at the moment, but I spoke to John a week ago, and he's totally in love with Zoe. She's being an amazing woman. She fulfills he didn't have any dreams to settle down with a Thai woman, but he said his life's incredible. He's so happy, and he's really glad how it all turned out. I asked him last week about Bob, and Bob is in his new house. He's took control of all his money, and as far as we know, Bob's wife isn't gambling at the moment, or her mother, that we know of course. For how long, we don't know. We don't know. But Bob's in a nice house as well. His friend in Pattaya is all doing well. Don't know about the guys in the bars. And no idea about John's ex-girlfriend, Jum. Don't know what happened to her. But yeah, this turned out to be a happy ever after ending, which makes a change for these Thai love stories. And that's it. If anything changes in the future, then I will report it to you. That is the end. A happy ever after ending. So many of you wanted that. And now I'm on the drawing board working on the next love story about a young girl called Joy. And we're going to take this next way. Is it a love story? It might not be, actually, because we're going to follow the life of a girl called Joy in Thailand. And maybe it'll be a bit different. It'll be a story. Let's call it a story. Tales from Thailand. Haven't thought of a title yet. I've still got to come up with a thumbnail. If any of you guys fancy doing a thumbnail for the next story, I haven't even got the title. Girl's called Joy. We're going to follow her life from way back and her adventures. If you guys want to come up with a title, put some comments below. And if you want to do a thumbnail, if you put any pictures in it, they've got to be copyright-free pictures. But yeah, guys, if you've got spare time and you've got nothing to do, make a thumbnail, make a title for the next story. Joy. How about that? There you go. I'm off to work again, and also Mem. So we'll catch you soon. Hopefully, let's see, a few more weeks, maybe we'll be able to get back to live streaming. We just got to get schedule sorted out. But currently I'm working on the other job I'm doing is taking up any spare days I had. So we'll see. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon. Bye-bye.